Welcome everyone who is coming in right now. Welcome to the Water Wednesday webinar spoken word workshop. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm going to put some questions in the chat so that we can kind of get started in the space, and we're going to engage in the chat. Everyone is muted for this first part, and then you'll be unmuted during the writing portion and obviously during the open mic session, so we don't even have to worry about that. But I hope you all are having a great evening so far, if it is evening where you are. I'm going to put some questions in the chat for you, and I'm going to answer them myself. So we're going to have this open up this space. I also want to give a friendly reminder that there is recording happening right now, but not to worry. Anybody who shares their poems or shares their words today will not be used for anything beyond this beautiful moment right here. So it will only be used, my part when I'm speaking and facilitating will be used beyond this Zoom room. Your words are safe. This is a safe space. So welcome everyone coming in. There are a few questions in the chat for you all to answer. In the chat, you can answer them, say hello, say hi. This is a safe and open space to engage and try something new for those who haven't tried spoken word before. So there is any preconceived notions that you have that you need to write a finished poem today, or you need to do, something amazing, you showing up to this workshop is amazing. So there is no other expectation of you. I'm just glad that you're here. So we're going to allow some more people to come in. And I'm excited. I'm super, super excited. Loving the answers in the chat so far. As an educator, I love asking the question about spoken word because there's so many answers that I get, or about poetry in general. And I love to just break away the myth that you have to be something, it has to be specific to a certain type, and it doesn't. So shout out to Seattle, shout out to Florida, shout out to New York, shout out to Rhode Island. One of the few, I haven't been to Rhode Island before. It's on my list of places to go. Shout out to New Jersey. I love it. I love it. Shout out to Atlanta. I'm loving to hear your expectations on what you'd like to get from this workshop, and I love to see it, so I know where to kind of move in terms of what we're talking about. Shout out to Wisconsin. All right, so it is 7:05. We're going to jump right into it. So I'm just going to reiterate some of the just kind of agreements we have in the space that we're sharing together. I want to reiterate that this is a safe space. See this mic behind me? It's a safe mic. It is a mic for you. Any preconceived notions or any intimidation that you might feel, this space is a safe space for you to try something new. And the fact that you showed up is a part of that. So thank you for showing up and being here. I'm so excited for you to be here. Another friendly reminder that we are recording, but the only recording that will leave this space is my facilitation. So any poems that are shared or words that are shared will not be shared beyond this Zoom room. And everyone is muted to start, but we will unmute as we get into the writing and the open mic portion. So quickly, a little bit about me. My name is Tayllor Johnson. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am originally from Los Angeles, California, but live in New York currently. I've been doing poetry since the 7th grade, or going into the 8th grade, actually. And I've been loving it ever since. I've been performing ever since. Poetry it's a lifestyle for me. I love it. I've been teaching for 7+ years, poetry specifically and spoken word. So that's kind of my bread and butter. How can I get more people to engage in this art form and have fun with it and feel as liberated as I do when I do it? So that's something that my expectation, what I want to take out of this, is to just give that to you, that power, that excitement to you that I have every time I perform. So we're going to jump right into it. And I'm in New York, so there might be some sounds you hear of the city. And I just accept that the city is living as am I. So let's get started. So spoken word definition. That's the first thing people ask. Like, what is spoken word? Because there's different things that come around in terms of spoken word, performance poetry, and poetry. So I will give you my definition of spoken word, the way I use it and the way I engage it as a performer. And that is from pen to page. The final product is on stage. So I'm going to repeat that. From pen to page, the final product is on stage. Be that virtually, be that a physical stage or an album. When you are writing spoken word poetry, you are taking in consideration your full body, speaking it, what your hands are doing, and the audience that you're performing for. It is a performance. That is the way that I was taught what spoken word was. And that's the way I've been engaging with it. So when I'm writing a spoken word piece that I know is going to be on stage, I'm taking in consideration what I'm the audience that I'm writing about, like writing for or writing to, like who is this going to be said to. I'm taking into consideration if there's any movements that when I get to that performance stage, am I going to want to move my hands in a certain way? I've had poems that I've danced and did the poem and dance at the same time. So it really is broad. It's expansive what spoken word can be as far as a performance. So for me, poetry, spoken word, performance poetry are all part of storytelling. And for me, it's part of that tradition. Anyone here who identifies as a poet or wants to identify as a poet, I salute you. And that's because poets are super important in history. And when I learned this, it really inspired me and made me feel proud of the art form that I was trying. In some countries, storytellers were part of the royal court. They were invited into the palace to tell their stories, to say their poems, part of the oral tradition. So when I'm performing, when I'm memorizing my pieces and speaking my truth, that is part of a long tradition of people telling stories and speaking their truth. Before there was reading, before there was writing, there were these people who went and spoke their truth and spoke truth about where they came from, about the countries and dynasties they were part of, and they were invited into the palace as royal members to do that job. So as a poet, I feel like it kind of is my job, and it is your job to speak your truth. And that excites me. And I hope it excites you too, because there's a long list of people from all over the world, there's different names for these people. And I'd like to think that I'm one of those people, and I invite you to claim that you're one of those people because you have a truth to share, and we need to hear that truth. So that's kind of why I do this and why I'm here. And I hope that inspires you. And then there's also the part about activism. So speaking your truth unapologetically is an act of resistance. And that is super important. To me, that is super important. So when I started writing poetry, and I was, the first thing I wrote about was racism. That was the first poem I wrote about. The first poem I wrote and performed was about racism. And it was based on my experience. And it wasn't um, educational in terms of like, my poem didn't say like a broad history of this and that. It actually was just my experience with racism. And that is resistance. So speaking your truth and being honest with yourself and not apologizing for who you are is an act of resistance. And it's shown in history, the way poetry and the way performance has shown up in that way. Um, Also, in terms of, I want to thank Bausi for having us have this space right now, and the work that they do with the Ocean Awareness Contest and the Voice of the Sea Award, which is a part of that, because that is activism, that is resistance, that is standing up for what you believe in and not apologizing for it. So if there's anything that you get from this, that is the key: standing up for what you believe in and not apologizing for it. And given that, I know that there's been a lot going on outside of this Zoom room and in this week that have been very hard. It's been hard for me and hard for a lot of people. So I do want to take some time in this space. I am an educator, I am a writer, I'm a performer, but I'm also an activist. So I just want to take some time. I just want to take a breath, have a moment of silence so that we can acknowledge what we're coming into this space with. There's a lot going on personally, nationally, internationally. And I want to honor that we're carrying some of that. Whether we like it or not, we might be carrying some of those things. So I'm just going to take a brief second to take a breath so that we can fully be here before we get into the writing portion, to honor what we're feeling, maybe some of the things that we've been holding on to this week, and everything that we're hearing about. So please, I invite you to take this breath with me so that we can enter the next part, fully ready to do what we need to do. So a good thing to do is stretch as well. I'll be talking about that later in terms of the performance. Another thing that I want to touch on in terms of, take a second. Another thing that I wanted to touch on before we move into the prompt is maybe these preconceived notions about what spoken word is. So maybe some people have heard of slam poetry, and that is a competition based on spoken word poems. So you're writing poems and there's judges who give you a score between 0 and 10. And then out of those rounds, those scores are added up, and whoever gets the highest total score wins. So I did slam poetry. I was a part of Brave New Voices in 2010. It was amazing. Spoken word poetry is not just that. So it's not a competition unless you're, doing a slam piece where you really do have to think about the best ways to write and engage your audience. Spoken word poetry is not only that. When you're just writing a poem to perform, it does not have to be part of a competition. I saw that someone in the chat mentioned emotion when they think of spoken word poetry. I completely agree. And I also want to add that it doesn't have to be a negative emotion. A lot of people use the stage to heal. I know I do. But it doesn't have to be negative or traumatic, what you write about. You can write about things that make you happy. you can celebrate things in spoken word poems. There doesn't have to be deep or this huge revelation. I've written spoken word poems about flowers and peace. So if there's sometimes a stigma or a stereotype that spoken word poems have to be dramatic and they have to be sad, and that's just not true. That's not true. They also don't have to rhyme. At all. There is a rhythm with spoken word poems that you get to define for yourself. So the more that you write, the more that you say your poems out loud, you will find a rhythm, and it'll be your rhythm. And it'll be fun at that point, because then you start to memorize. You get to kind of have your body in that rhythm, and that takes practice. The more that you write, so that is exactly what we're gonna start with right now. We're going to get into the writing portion. So I hope that you have one of these and one of these, or if you're using your computer, that's okay too. But we're going to get into the writing. We're going to have a prompt, and we're going to try this out. So you notice I didn't say any rules. I didn't say anything. You showing up authentically and speaking your truth unapologetically in poetic form out loud is a spoken word piece to me. So that is what we're going to do. Um, One of the prompts for the Ocean Awareness Contest is, what memories do you have of water? What is your water story? So as a workshop facilitator, I have, transparency. I want to be as transparent as possible. So when you write, I write. So we both going to have this new poem together that we're going to create. So I wanted to start off, the prompt is the day we met. So what happened the day you met water? When did you and water meet? Where were you when you first played with water, swam in water, held a puddle of water in your hand, or saw a rainstorm, a thunderstorm? What was that day like? Loving the question. What should we do if we don't remember? If you don't remember, that's fine. The last time that you engage with water is completely fine too. If you don't remember the first time, or if there's a memorable time that you were either on a lake or you were at the beach. Living in New York, it's hard for me to get to the beach. So anytime that I'm there, I remember, I try to keep that. I get shells and things of that sort. So that's kind of what I want you to think on and spend some time with it. We're going to have about 10 minutes to engage and to like brainstorm and spend some time with the prompt. And this is a poetry prompt. Yes. So what turns this into a spoken word piece is that we're actually going to have time to share and to share our poems out loud. So when you're writing your piece, it's not going to stay on the page. You're going to say it out loud. So that's why I want to give 10 minutes for us to, and if we need more time, we're a group. We can have a group conscience. You can say, Tay, we need more time than 10 minutes. We need 15. And that's fine too. So you are going to write a poem about the day that you met water, or a memory that you have of water that meant a lot to you. You can call it the day we met, or you can call it something else. What's going to take this from poem on the page to poem on the stage is that when you're done, I want you to read it out loud multiple times, as much as you can, to find that rhythm, to find that it has to live in your mouth, if that makes sense. The poem lives in your throat, in your mouth, in your heart, and it comes out this way. It doesn't come out this way. It doesn't come out from page to your mouth out. It actually comes from here out. So when you're finished writing your poem, and it doesn't have to be long. If it is long, that's fine. If you want to share a portion of it during our open mic, that's cool too. But spend some time thinking about it, about what it means in here, and spend some time saying it at least once or twice out loud, because then we're going to get into the performance aspect of it before we share. We're going to have, I'm going to do some like quick performance 101. So are there any questions about the prompt or about how to engage this. If you need help or anything, if you're like, I'm lost, I don't know where to start, I can help you with that too, because I get stuck sometimes as well. And I have not wrote on this prompt yet. So it is new for all of us here. We're all newly writing on this prompt together, which is amazing because we're not alone in taking this risk and trying something new. So are there any other questions before I start the timer? No, you do not need to turn on your microphone. Um, Same here, Kaylin, same here. I've had many a workshops where I've written a poem and was like, this will have a few drafts, and that's okay. What we're practicing here is not writing the most high quality poem. What we're doing is we're giving our minds the opportunity to try writing a poem and speaking it and performing it out loud. So no expectation to have a high quality poem in 10 minutes. Not at all. You don't need your microphones. At the open mic, our lovely host, Bow Seat host, is going to allow it so we can all talk to each other and share our pieces. If you have any questions, you can definitely reach out to me, and I can address it to the group. But no worries, this is just practice. And also, I hope that when you take this next level, or when you have this poem after this workshop, that you feel inspired to take it and continue working on it. So yeah, I want to make that very clear. The expectation isn't to write something amazing, it's to write something that's true to you. And then you'll see that that is amazing once you perform it out loud. Are there any other questions before I start the timer? Nope. Okay, I'm going to start the timer. If you do have questions, feel free to direct message me. 10 minutes starting from now. And yep, be open. It does not have to be perfect or amazing. It just has to be you, and you're already amazing. So there's that. I'm going to leave my camera on, but I'm going to mute myself. There's about 3 minutes left. Just want to give you a heads up. All right. We are at 10 minutes. If you feel like you need more time, um, that's let me know in the chat that you feel like you need more time. I do want to give us probably 2 more minutes to read what we wrote out loud to ourselves. That's what I was doing, at least for the last minute, is reading the poem out loud. And I'm going to start workshopping mine and tell you my process on how I turned pen to page final product for the stage. Um, so I'm just going to give us 2 more minutes. If you haven't already, take this time to read your poem out loud to yourself. Be as dramatic as you want or be as deadpan as you want, but just hear your voice, hear that, get comfortable with that. So 2 more minutes. Okay, so I wanted to give some time to kind of speak the poems out loud for the people who are just joining us. If you're joining us a little late, hi, I'm glad you're here. We just finished a writing prompt that is on the screen currently, and I'm going to walk you through how I take this from page to stage in a spoken word piece using my poem. And then we're going to have an amazing open mic. And I invite all of you to share one line, two lines that you felt stuck out to you, maybe surprised you about what you wrote. The amazing thing about workshops is that you're creating a work that's going to continue working beyond the workshop. So if you started something that you're not too jazzed about, that's okay, because after the workshop, maybe within the workshop, you'll find something, you'll be inspired to take it from page, hopefully to stage. So my awesome host, Olivia, could you open up the room so that we could all see each other and be together? I would love to see all your faces. Yay! Awesome. Okay. So, hello everyone. Now that you can unmute yourselves. So I'm going to show you kind of my process on taking a spoken word poem and how I prepare from the page to the stage. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the poem that I wrote. Like I said, I'm writing this. This is a new prompt for me, just like you. So I'm going to read the poem that I wrote. It's not done. I know that when writing it, I wasn't finished. So I'm just going to show you my process. And then boom, 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 we're going to get into the open mic after that. So this is the poem that I wrote. The day we met, I fell into you and didn't know you could carry me. I thrashed and screamed, you must have been confused. You wrapped around me tighter until I was pulled from the pool. When I saw you again, you were unhinged. From corner to corner of the world, you fell to my feet and kissed me, then retreated to your mansion estate. You didn't tell me you were sick. I had to hear it on the news, purging your secrets ashore and taking over. You never wanted to talk about it. You kept hugging me over and over, over and over, hushing me with your song, pouring into me all the love that the world couldn't conjure up for you. So that's just me reading the poem. And because I'm a performer, I added a little some. But I just want to show you, if I can, what it looks like. Oh, this green screen. So this is the poem here. All these scratches and edits, that's from reading it out loud. When you read it out loud, you're able to see what doesn't fit in your mouth, so to speak. So just to show you, my last line was going to be, hushing me with your song, with all the love the world couldn't conjure up for you. When I read it out loud, it didn't sound right. There was something else that needed to be there. So I changed it to hushing me with your song, pouring into me all the love the world couldn't conjure up for you. So that's the benefit of reading your work out loud, because you get to hear those little parts that are like, I could tweak that a little bit. So let's say that I'm preparing for a performance and I need to take this poem here and put it for the stage. The first thing that I'm going to do is memorize it. And we'll talk about memorizing technique after. I have some tricks that I learned from my mentor that I will give to you so that you can take that with you if ever you need to memorize a piece and not have paper in front of you. But I don't have time to memorize it right in front of you right now. So we're going to focus on the rhythm. So for me, I know that someone said emotion is what they think of. And in finding the rhythm, the more that I read it, I find the emotion. So we're going to do the emotion first. I'm going to read again, more like a performance. Anytime you're performing, take a breath first so you can ground yourself. Pro tip. The day we met, I fell into you and didn't know you could carry me. I thrashed and screamed, you must have been confused. You wrapped around me tighter until I was pulled from the pool. When I saw you again, You were unhinged. From corner to corner of the world, you fell to my feet and kissed me, then retreated to your mansion estate. You didn't tell me you were sick. I had to hear it on the news. Purging your secrets ashore and taking over, you never wanted to talk about it. You kept hugging me over and over, over and over, hushing me with your song, pouring into me all the love the world couldn't conjure up for you. So that's more of a performance. And I'm going to tell you what I did to kind of take it there. Um, Hands. Because I'm performing and I'm on stage, I don't have a book. I have it propped up right here. I'm able to say, you wrapped around me tighter. I'm able to live that. That's the emotion that I take with me in my performances. Because my hands are free, I'm able to live these words out loud. I fell into you and didn't know you could carry me. Um, the amazing thing about spoken word is that I'm able to feel the poem. I didn't expect to write this. This is new to me as it is to you. Um, and I see that this does have a sad tinge to it, because I said you didn't tell me you were sick, and I feel that. And that's something that when I perform it, that feeling amplifies, and I'm able to bring that out more to the audience that I'm performing for at this moment, which is y'all. Um, and there's also the repetition in the piece. So the over and over and over and over. When you're performing and you're on stage and you're doing that, the over and over, it gives me energy because I'm getting there. And I know this poem isn't done because there's no conclusion for me in it. Um, in what I was writing about, I grew to love the ocean, and then I found out the ocean was not doing so well, and now I want to do something about it. So for me, this poem's not finished. The last thing I will say is that when you're performing your piece and you have your body open, you're able to use your voice more. Your repetition is kind of intoxicating. Another thing that happens is you're able to take words like hushing me with your song. You're able to take that and go hushing me with your song, um, or just do the hush. You're able to use your voice in different ways. There's also there's you take your time. This does not have to be fast. When I first started writing, all my poems were very fast. They were very like go 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 go. Um, but you don't have to do that. It is your poem, it is your voice, so you get to take your time. So that's kind of like how I'm going to take this poem, which I do want to take this poem and finish it and perform it in the future. So that's kind of the beginning of how I did that. And reading it out loud over and over again, you find that rhythm, and then you never lose it because it's your rhythm. So I'm going to stop right there because it is time for the open mic part of the session. So, of this workshop, I want to have a reminder that this is a safe space. I invite you all to turn your cameras on if you're able to. I want to see your beautiful faces. And if you want to just share what your process was like, I'm open to hear that too. You don't have to share a whole piece, but the stage is yours to share maybe what the process was, or to share your poem with us and just to practice adding that emotion, adding that extra performance to your poem in this safe space. So this is a space open to experimentation. And I'm grateful that I was able to do that with you all. So I want to offer that in return to you. So is it possible, Olivia, to do gallery view? Or I guess I can do that myself.
Yeah, I think
Here we
one of us
go.
can
Now
do
I
it.
can see all of you beautiful people. Amazing. So it is the stage is open. It is open to whoever wants to share. Feel free to unmute. I would love to know your name. If you're able to turn your camera on, please do so I can see you. And this is the part. This is where you get to do your thing. So who would like to share? I went first, so there is no first because I already went first. I want to thank Bausi again for hosting this beautiful space for us to talk about spoken word, and knowing that this year for the 2021 Ocean Awareness Contest, there is the Voice of the Sea Award this year. And I'm so excited that I was able to partner, that I'm able to partner with them. And this is, I mean, all the poems I heard, and I've been doing poetry in different spaces. I think Bausi shared last week, had a chance to do poetry in Scotland, excuse me. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, all the poems I heard today deserve to be on stage. In Scotland, in America, all the poems I heard today deserve to be on stage. That's a fact. So you said 10 minutes was not enough time. I disagree because I heard amazing poems tonight. So the Voice of the Sea Award, celebrating spoken word poetry. And based on what I heard tonight, I expect all y'all to participate, to submit a spoken word poem, and there'll be more information online regarding this. But to celebrate this expression, Bausi has decided to recognize 2 spoken word submissions for the Voice of the Sea Award. There is the gold level in each division, one $1,000 award for junior submission, and one $1,500 award for a senior submission. There are requirements for first submitting. And Olivia, if you could put the site so people can go straight to it and read more about it. I don't want to say wrong. I want to make sure I get that. So this is open to students ages 11 to 18 from around the world. This is worldwide. So 11 to 18, there is no excuse why y'all can't do it. And the deadline is June 14th. 2021. So that gives you a lot of time to practice, to read your poems out loud, to pick a prompt. And just from what I heard tonight, I'm impressed and I'm inspired by you. And I'm the facilitator. So that tells you anything, is that y'all did amazing. And that's the amazing thing about performance, is that it's that back and forth. It's that beautiful exchange that we're able to have together. So I really encourage you all to participate in the Voice of the Sea Award, um, in Bausi's Ocean Awareness Contest, by submitting something to the Voice of the Sea Award for spoken word poetry. It is an amazing opportunity to speak your truth as it relates to the environment, to water, to our planet. And I think you all have amazing perspectives when it comes to that. So do it. Do it. Do it. That is my that is my plug. That you should definitely participate in that. I know that we're running a little bit over time because the amazingness of the poems took some time. But I do want to open up for questions. If anyone has questions about performing, about really anything about spoken word, feel free to, raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat. I'm here, and I will continue to be here. This is, as an educator, this is what I do. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm here. Yeah, Kaylin.
I was wondering if you have any tips for filming the spoken word. I don't have a lot of experience in filming things, so.
Sure, absolutely. So one of the amazing things that a lot of people have these days are ring lights. And that is very helpful in terms of the lighting. You don't want any type of shadows. And it doesn't have to be too fancy of a camera. Like, you could use a standard camera. The most thing you want to have, and I had to do this to set up mine, is I actually have a ring light beyond my computer, set up on a tripod. And they're very cheap on Amazon. They're not super expensive. So what you'd want to do is kind of set up your phone or device very level with the ring light so that it shines this kind of even light on you. That would be my biggest advice so that so you don't have to worry about any type of backlight or you're outside and there's, shades or anything on you. Also a space where it's quiet. So if you do have silent parts of your piece, like there's deliberate pauses, those can be honored without a car or a cat or something like that. So you definitely want to find a quiet space where you can sit and be comfortable. I didn't get a chance to touch on the physical part, but performance is whole body. So you have to warm up your lungs. You have to warm up. That's why I was stretching earlier. You have to warm up your whole body because your whole body is living the poem that you have. So you definitely want to be comfortable. And whatever that means for you, if that means standing up so you have your feet on the ground and you can feel grounded, definitely do that. If that means sitting down or at a desk where you can also feel grounded in that way, definitely do that too. But the ring light will probably take away a lot of the having to worry about, am I lit right? It's just, it does the lighting for you. So
would you recommend filming our whole body or just like the upper half of our body?
I think depending on the poem, you definitely want to use your whole body. I would say top half, like where you can see your arms would be good. So like if I was standing back a little bit, I think this would be okay to film. I don't think you need your whole body unless that's what you're comfortable with. But me, when I'm performing, like the way I performed right now, I needed my hands. I needed you to see my hands. I needed you to see this motion. I need you to see the falling. I need you to see these actions. So if you're planning to use your hands in that way, I think, from like your diaphragm up would be good. If you plan to be even more physical than that and, you need like more space, I would do whole body. There was another question. Yes, thank you, Linda. So for memorizing your poems, I've been memorizing for a while now. I like to have at least 5 poems memorized at any time so that if I'm ever asked to perform, I can just do it on spot. So this is what my mentor, Bosia, taught me. And I'm going to actually put his name in the chat because he's taught me a lot. He's an Asian American poet and he's amazing. And he's a part of spoken word history. So I'm going to put his name in there. Follow him on Instagram. He's awesome. So what I do is I read my poem word for word like this. So I fell into you and didn't know you could carry me. Seems crazy, but when you find your rhythm and you're memorizing your poem, the last thing you want to do is have something distract you while you're performing and then you forget your poem. So I need my rhythm to bring my piece out. But if I'm leaning on my rhythm for memorizing, one thing takes me out of it, I forget my poem because I've lost my rhythm. So if you read your poem like this, you're going to memorize the words and not the rhythm. So it doesn't matter if somebody's running or if someone gets up during a performance and kind of scoots out, you have the words down. There's nothing that can take you from the words. So when I'm preparing for a performance, I'm reading my poem like this multiple times. And by time, like if I do that quite a few times. And then I'm able to, I have the words are already in here. So it doesn't matter if there's any distractions. And then I'm running the poem, especially before bed. I heard that helps. So I've been doing it and it seems to work for me. Running the poem before bed, it kind of stays on your mind. And doing that exercise of reading it like this. And if I start to get into my rhythm, I start over. I start from the beginning because I need to memorize the words, not the rhythm. The rhythm is kind of like the added icing on the cake for when I perform. If I lean too much when I'm memorizing, something's going to take me out of that and then I'm going to get lost. So that is my tip for memorizing. Are there any other questions about anything? Poetry related, performance related. I've had a few questions, people ask me about stage fright, how to work on that, in terms of how to kind of get over the stage fright part. I'll just speak on that really briefly. Before I perform, whether I'm performing on Zoom or on a stage or in a theater. Oh, here's a question. How do you find your flow? Like where to break or slow down? That's a very great question, Yutong. So I find my flow by continuously, I have to listen to my breath. So I'm going to show you how I used to read my poems. I fell into you and didn't know you could carry me. I thrashed and screamed. You must have been confused. I'm going super fast. I'm going to lose my breath eventually. So the way I find my flow is I continue to read the poem. And for those who can't, I'm going to try to show you. It's hard to see. But when you're writing, the line breaks matter, if you can kind of see where the line breaks matter. You really can't see it. It's hard to see because of the screen. So when I'm finding my flow, I'm depending on my breath. So if I'm running out of breath, there's a problem. I'm going too fast, or I didn't put any line breaks or pauses in my poem to leave room for me to breathe. I'm also thinking about the where I'm at in the poem. Some spoken word poems have like an arc where they start slow, they get fast, and then they kind of die down. And I kind of felt that, Yutong, that you were at a point where your poem was very much like the energy was high. And we build up to that, and then some poets, they go back down. So I would say at the point where I said, you didn't tell me you were sick, I'm starting to get my energy up. So I'm gonna speed up, but I'm not going to go so fast I can't breathe. So finding those points in your poem where your energy is going high, where you're going back up again, or you're going a little faster, finding those parts and kind of being, okay, this is where I'm going to speed up a little bit. But your whole poem, if your whole poem's on 10, you're going to run out of breath and you're going to get tired very quickly. So finding your flow is finding your breath, finding where your pauses are when you look at your poem, because your audience is not going to know where your line breaks are. So you have to tell them, I fell into you, pause, and I didn't know you could carry me. So finding out when you write your poem where your line breaks are and honoring where those pauses are, and finding where the energy might get higher and preparing for that. So it's really, that's why I say you got to prepare your lungs. There's a lot of like breathing exercises and trying to preparing your voice for that. So that would be how I handle that, is I watch my breath and I find out where the energy is highest in my poem and prepare for maybe going a little faster at that time, what the energy of my poem is. I'm going to touch on the stage fright thing. If anyone has any other poems, feel free. And if you have other questions beyond this, you can contact me. I'm happy to help. Yeah, I hope that answered your question. Definitely watch your breath and find out what the flow of your poem is in terms of high energy and low energy, because you're guiding your audience in a story. So the one thing about stage fright that I will answer to or speak on is that when you step on stage, you deserve to be there. So when I was just beginning to perform, before I would start performing, yes, I have the jitters, I'm nervous, but the one thing that I would do and say to myself is, I deserve to have my story told. I deserve to share my voice and share my voice. And that would take away some of the nervousness, because I feel like, oh, what if it's not good enough? What if I mess up? I deserve to be here. And I would say that to myself multiple times before I got on stage. I also would stretch so that my body felt loose. If you're standing up and reading a poem, you want to bend your knees a little bit. You don't want to go over stretch. You don't want to straighten your legs because you're going to cut off that connection. So bend your knees just a tiny bit so that you can still get that breath to your brain and have that connection to the ground. I also take time before I start. It does not matter. People are going to sit and look at me until I start. So I take as much time as I need to ground myself. I deserve to be here. I deserve to have this space to speak my truth. And that kind of energizes me to keep going. I know that we're quite a bit over time. I'm paying attention to that. Are there any other questions before? No problem. That is what I am here for. Uh, any other questions that I could answer for you all? If not, you are so welcome. Thank you all. If not, I just wanted to say congratulations to all of you for showing up here, for being here, being part of this experience. You succeeded. You were here and you did something amazing, and I'm proud of all of you, and I'm inspired by every single one of you for being here. I look forward to seeing your poems. Wherever I see them, I look forward to hearing your voices in different spaces. As you can see, that's my Instagram up there. If you have more questions or anything, please feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, poetry is a lifestyle. It's my life. So I'm happy to support anything that you have going on. If there's educators who are on here who want to know more about having this in the classroom or having this space in the classroom, please reach out to me. I am a resource. I am here. And I'll have some resources to go up in the follow-up email for people for things to watch, things to read, and more practice things to do or prompts maybe that would be helpful. I'm really, really, really proud of all of you. This was such an amazing experience for me. I really, again, I want to thank Bowseat and the amazing things that Bowseat is doing in terms of their ocean awareness contest. Please check out the website, see the categories that they're working with, including the Voice of the Sea Award for spoken word poetry, and engage. We need to hear your voices. Your voices are important. They're very important, especially right now. So if you don't think your voice is important, that's not true. It's super, super, super important. So I'm just happy, so happy that you all are here. And this was an amazing experience for me. So I thank you. Olivia, am I missing anything? Linda, did you want to say any words? I'm on cloud nine because the poems I heard tonight were so amazing.
I don't think so. Thanks for leading this, Tayllor, though.
Of course. Sure. Of course. Snaps to all of you. Please follow Bowsy, follow me, reach out to me, stay in contact. That's what I'm here for. So thank you all so much. A round of applause to you for all that y'all did. I was just here to facilitate. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your week. Please remember to breathe. There's so much going on right now. Please remember to breathe and take care of yourself and honor where you're at. So with that, I'll close.